welcome back to B Keto. So, no, this is not a cooking show, but do I have a recipe for you? The keto recipe. So as we know, there are a lot of ways to keto, but each of them will have the same core ingredients with variations made depending on your individual needs and preferences. Now, the first step of any recipe is preparation. Setting the stage, creating the space for success, really preparing your environment so that you can get cooking. Now, this includes getting your mind right. So, a few things to always remember. First, the goal is not to just do keto. The idea is to be keto. Keto is not just another diet. It's a lifestyle. It's a process in finding exactly the right nutritional balance for your body. And second, you got to know what your purpose is. You got to know what your goal of your keto is. Why are you doing your keto? So, of course, there have been several benefits that have been identified for those suffering with heart disease, elevated cholesterol, gut health, metabolic disorders like obesity, type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, even cancer, brain-based disorders like epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, chronic headaches, inflammatory diseases like arthritis or PCOS, mental health conditions like anxiety and depression, ADHD, and even autism spectrum disorder. So I'll include below some resources specific to some of those health concerns. But if you or a loved one is struggling with any of this dis-ease, you may want to share this recipe with them. So now, what are the ingredients to keto? First, eat real food. I can't say it any better than Susan did in her post on the B Keto Facebook page. Her post said, medicine is not healthcare. Food is healthcare. Medicine is sick care. It's time we see it for what it is. I mean, bam. What more can you say? Eating real food allows you and your body to communicate to each other. So fake processed foods blocks that. So the nutritional environment you provide can make the difference between a healthy body and a sick one. So eat real food. Then number 2, second ingredient to our keto recipe, remove starches, carbohydrates, and all sources of sugar to include sodas and fruits even. Now, this is one that often scares so many people away from keto because they can't imagine giving up their carbs. And I can tell you the first 3 days were the hardest for me. But as you move into ketosis, it gets easier and easier. If you're like me, the sugar monster may be your biggest challenge. So if so, I strongly recommend the Diet Doctor's free sugar addiction course. It's very helpful. Now, what will also help with this sugar addiction, is keto's next ingredient, healthy fats. Get off those low-fat foods. Go full fat, always. No more skim or low-fat milks and yogurts and cheeses. Remember, it is not the fat that makes you fat. It's the carbs. So every time you're having a hankering for a carb or for some sugar, instead, add some fat. Now, my friends, family, anybody that's been out to lunch or to dinner with me has seen me order, a bowl of, melted butter. And I order that so that I can pour that on top of whatever my meal is. And not only does it make your food taste better, but it's fueling my body. It's improving the energy that I can have and for how long I can maintain that energy. And without the crash that I would normally get when I'm relying on carbs for fuel. So that allows me to be satisfied, and it allows me to be satisfied with less. And then I don't need to eat as often. And that keeps my insulin from going up. So very important. Also, my brain cells are so much happier feeding on fats instead of carbs. It allows them to grow healthier. And just speaking for myself, I can feel the difference. I'm less foggy-headed, more clear-headed. Seriously, better memory, the whole thing. So another resource I'll share with you is the Dr. David Perlmutter's The Grain Brain. The first time I walked away from carbs was based on this book. But of course, I was scared of the fat. So it was only when I added that ingredient that I felt the benefits. So definitely check that out if brain health is a concern for you. Okay, so our next keto ingredient, okay, is moderate proteins. Now, the key to this is to eat the fatty cuts of meats. And I really love this because I've always hated eating dry chicken breast. But I was always told that that was the healthy way to eat. But screw that. I mean, look at me. I'm all about the dark meat, okay? So now, in the Keto Cure, Dr. Adam Nally and Jimmy Moore's book, they suggest a 1-to-1 ratio between protein and fats. And they give the egg is a perfect example of this, that it has equal parts of fat and equal parts of protein, 7 grams each. So eat the whole egg. You know you hate eating egg whites. You know that. So don't do it. So be nice to your body. Eat the whole egg. Give it what it wants. I mean, that's the mantra here. Now, our next ingredient for our keto recipe is electrolytes. Very important to keep your electrolytes or minerals up while on keto. Without this, you might be tempted to give up on it because you might have different symptoms. The keto flu is what they talk about, because basically salt follows water. And this is where you're going to lose a lot of weight in the beginning of keto due to that water loss. But as you lose this water, you're also losing sodium and potassium and magnesium. So drink a lot of water and take a lot of salt. You don't have to fear the salt, because now that you're not eating all that junk food that's, filled to the brim with sodium, it would take a lot of salt for you to overdo it. So for me, I stick to the pink Himalayan salt because it's filled with all those minerals. And I mean, you add it to your food liberally. I add it to my water all day. I'm drinking salt water. And I notice the difference. I mean, if you're not up for that, you can eat salty snacks like pork rinds or pickles. Drink the pickle juice if you want, or broth. So doing so, like I said, can help you from experiencing the keto flu, which is dizziness, maybe nausea, headaches, fatigue, that sort of thing. So if you start to feel any of that, take some salt, drink some water. That's very important. Last ingredient for our keto recipe is ketosis. It's about burning fat. So how do you know if you're getting the full benefits of ketosis? How do you know if your body is running on fat? You got to measure your ketones. Either you can measure them through urine, blood, or breath. A lot of people use the urine sticks, and those work really well in the first 2 weeks or so. They can be very helpful. But after that, they're really not considered reliable, because as your metabolism changes and you become more keto adapted, you stop peeing your ketones out and actually start using them for fuel. So another option is the blood ketone monitor, which looks like this. This is the one that I use, and it looks just like it works pretty much like a blood glucose monitor, but this is measuring ketones. It took me a while, though, actually, to get to the point of using the blood ketone monitor, because the testing strips can be pretty expensive. They'll run around $1 a strip. So my hack was this good old-fashioned breathalyzer I bought off of eBay, about $12 or so. This old model was recommended specifically in the ketogenic forums, and I'll put that link below. And it was said that it was, a pretty accurate measure of ketones in the breath, and I found that to be true. Also, I'll put a link to a pretty good video of how to use the breathalyzer. Basically, the way it works is that a cheap breathalyzer like that can't really tell the difference between the alcohol in your breath and the ketones in acetones that are produced in your breath. So if you test positive on the meter, then you are in ketosis, as long as you aren't drunk too. So, okay. So I know you're wondering, if you get pulled over, you should not be arrested for being under the influence of ketones. The breathalyzers that are used by the police are different than these kind of cheap, regular old breathalyzers. So shouldn't be a problem. Okay. And then, of course, another option is to go with the ketone breath analyzers. And they're certainly an option. They're just much more expensive. So that's that. Now, my keto recipe doesn't cook up perfectly every time. But like I've said, it really has been. I mean, keto has been that's something better than I didn't know was possible. So, and I think it can be true for you also. So I'm encouraging you, however you do it, Just the best keto recipe is one where you eat real food, you keep your carbs low, you have enough protein, and you enjoy the fat. So this keto pyramid is from tasteaholics.com, and they were really helpful to me in knowing what to eat. So that's one that I suggest, and I'll include that link. Thanks again for tuning in to B Keto. The resources I'm sharing with you are my personal go-tos. They don't have to be yours, but hopefully you enjoyed this video and found a little bit of something that might be helpful as you start or continue your keto journey. If so, please like and subscribe. As well, come join us at the B Keto Facebook page as I be keto, you be keto, we be keto. See you next time. And be keto. Thanks.